Yes, and hello to you all. Jan here, live once again, boys and girls. So today we're going to talk about a little bit of Google action. It's been a while since we talked about that. And this is titled Reputation Management, How to Remove Content from Google Fast. How to remove content from Google Fast. And it is brought to you by chaosmap.com. How about that pitch? That is the agency that I founded over 10 years ago. And we do a lot of SEO and content, and of course, paid advertising as well. But today we're going to talk about this specific little animal called Google and Pages, how to remove content from Google Fast. In fact, we just had a client today that came in with such a request, and it happens. In fact, it depends on the situation at hand, but sometimes this is going to be very necessary to do. And it's both from the perspective of obviously having the content removed that may show sensitive content, but also, frankly, from a sort of a health perspective of your website, right? And often in this context, while we're sort of, alluding to the reputation management portion of it here, it's really about the health of your website as well, right? And so you don't have duplicate content. You don't want, a whole set of pages showing up and groups of pages showing up that essentially are copies of each other, right? So what we want to do is we want to act fast on this. Now, there's things we're going to talk about here to, solve this, really even before you get there, right? So you don't have these issues. But also, we're going to cover it today on how to do this fast. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open a page for you all. And this is a page directly from Google. And I'm linking this to the show notes here today. And it's about removing information from Google. And as I also noted here, Google has a lot of services available to them, obviously, as part of the Google world. And you can see that, yes, I already started this here. Let me see if I can reset. Basically, I am linking to this in the content. Yes, I was able to reset it. When you remove content from Google, we're not just talking web search, right? There's a lot of assets and services here. Blogger, Blogspot, web search, Google Ad, Drive-in Docs, Google Play, image search. That's a big piece of it. Google Photos, Picasa, right? But there are ways to do this, and you can submit requests for it. And it's really not that hard. Right now, the next question that comes up is, I want it done fast and I want it done now. Well, there are two levels here that I want to discuss. And one is the first level of your website. So if you have, let's say, a membership and you have a login access to those members, well, if that's what you control in terms of your database for that membership information, well, you can go ahead and delete that information right away, and it's going to be pretty much instantly gone from your website / database. Right now, if you search in Google after you've done that, the information will still be there because Google has cached it. Right now, the caching is essentially a mechanism where they can, put aside, for lack of technical terms, put aside that information, so that once they spider it and index it, it'll be fast access through their databases. So, folks out there think that Google essentially is collecting the information at real time at that moment. And yes, they are, but from their databases, right? So however current that database index is at that moment, that's where they get it. Well, if that's the case, and yes, it is, well, that means it's still available on Google, even if you deleted it from your system. So they're going to find it and they're going to click on it and head on over to your page. But lo and behold, your information is not showing. So that's, step one, right? You are on your way to removing that piece of content. But step two is you actually have to go in to something called the Google Webmaster Tools area, which is now Google Search Console. And once you're in there, you can look up the Google Index portion, and I have a screenshot up here. Thank you, Search Engine Land. That shows you essentially a listing of existing URLs that have been removed, or if there's none, then simply there is no listing here. Now, this is what's called a temporary hide or temporarily remove, right? Functionality, which allows you to literally type in the URL that Google has in their index, in that cache that I just described, and fill that out, and it will capture, www, non-w, www. It'll catch, SSL, non-SSL, HTTPS, HTTP, right? All of the variations, and so you can submit that, and Google tells us that it's going to be fairly quick to do, and sometimes we see this being longer than we thought initially. But often we see a 24 to 48 hours removal of that. Now, what this means, though, because it is temporary, there are other places on the net where people are backlinking to that indexed page, so it's going to reappear essentially. And the rule they have established is 90 days on this. So if you deleted it today and you didn't do anything else, well, then it's going to reappear, right? So, but the thing is, if you are owning that database and you control that, you can remove that person, have it completely gone, right? Which is cool. You can do the temporary hide, as I mentioned, but really it's not, this is not fail-safe, as I mentioned. So what you really want to do is you want to look at your architecture and find out, what's the best way to really deploy these members and internal database assets going forward so that you always have the correct information. But what you can do is you can actually do a 404 redirect on this. So if this page is something that you want to really not redirect or you don't want to remove, you just want to essentially go into the code and fire a HTTP response 404 so that it goes to a break page, which is essentially a friendly page that says, sorry, this has not been found. Click here to continue to search. Here are some other areas of our site that we can direct you to, et cetera, et cetera. So, that's one way. Now, another way here, and we like this a lot, is the proper use of robots.txt, where you can actually disallow sections of a site or a specific area based on wildcards, or you can actually literally specify a URL, right? That's a great way to go into this as you're developing out your site. But some of these things, especially with membership databases, happen in real time. So having an ability to do a tag on the page is also a capability. While it's not instant, it is something you should consider, and it's a no index tag, right? And that gives you just a whole number of options, different options for you to think about it, from disallowing the entire page or a piece of the architecture using robots.txt, no indexing flag, the tag itself that you can apply on the page, using the temporary removal, which again is fast with the 24 to 48 hours, give or take, right? And also, of course, as it came up today, just remove simply the member from the database because you own and have access to this. And so I thought I'd share this with you because this comes up often enough that it's a problem out there. And really also a reminder for you to take a look at your site and find out if there's information that you just don't want on there. Well, then you completely can follow these instructions, right? And then go to this URL that I put up here to, get the information removed. Now, what's really cool, this page also has information about what it really means to get something off Google, right? Because it means different things to different people. And so that's what they break down here. So understanding the problem is step one. Step two is taking action on this. And under step one, understanding the problem, the question really is, do you want to remove the information from Google or from the web? And this kind of gets into the services that I was just talking about. And also what we talked about a moment ago, who controls the source page of information, right? So here, if it's you, then of course you have control and you can quickly address that. And also there's talks about things that you don't control, like a story about you on a newspaper website. And I wanted to show this because this happens often. If there's something that's written about you that's kind of affecting your reputation on an external newspaper or website that you don't control, now you're getting into a full reputation management discussion of how you can push that content out. Now, There are, as I mentioned here in the show notes, ways that you can submit what's called a DMCA request and have it removed, and it becomes a much more involved process. And yes, you can do that, and there's legal means. You can file, of course, cease and desist, and send nasty grams left and right, and hire lawyers, et cetera, et cetera. But depending on how bad this situation is and how competitive it is out in the marketplace, you can talk to a company like ours, chaosmap.com, where we'll look at it, do an audit of it, and see what would be the effort to essentially push that listing to the second page, second page, third page, et cetera. Nobody goes there in Google. That's dead to most users, right? So pushing it down, we done a lot of that actually in the financial war for clients at chaosmap.com. And that's another consideration, but that gets more extensive, but it is under the control of you and third party, and also, these settings and these various tools that I've displayed that creates kind of options for you. And I wanted to sort of bucket this under reputation management today, even though some of those initial things that I just talked about touches on reputation management. It really is a much more complex problem when you look at all of this. And I find that business owners don't really address this, and frankly, they don't know about it probably, right? I mean, they have a sense of it, but they also don't have time. I talked to another client today that absolutely felt this was a problem and just didn't know how to address it, right? So step 2 is take action. And this is where it gets into more detail, and you can access this information online, and I will link that for you into the show notes, and talks about robots and other things. So very, very cool here. Some power tools available for you, some great strategies that you can use. And this presentation today has been all about removing a web page from Google and then associated discussions. So hopefully this is something that you can take action on, and definitely when it comes to things you own, you absolutely can take action on it. So again, I appreciate you coming in here. And if you love the podcast, go ahead and subscribe and love a review. That is absolutely phenomenal. We've been receiving great feedback, and I love doing these. So keep them coming, guys and gals, and I'll talk to you soon. Later. Jan out.